right, we are live Tuesday morning. Good to see everyone. Good to have you back. Been making a few changes. I do need some input for you. Actually, from you, not for you. I need input from you. Been trying to fix audio, so let me know if the audio is better than it has been in the past. Been trying to get the syncing problem fixed, but it's hard for me to talk and listen and watch at the same time. So I need some input from you guys to give me a thumbs up that it's working, or a thumbs down if it's still a bit delayed or out of sync. I can keep working on that. I'm going to probably spend some time after the stream today just messing around, trying to figure out how I can fix it. Been watching a few YouTube videos as I do to get things sorted out. So for those of you that are new, welcome. Good to have you. Oh no. Jamie, I got to tell you, I'm kind of disappointed. Who would reschedule Scrum events to clash with something as important as our stream together? That's okay. You go take care of your team. Have a good day. Help them out. Help them achieve everything you need them to achieve. So as always, Jamie, go crush everything. Ooh, a fundraiser. That's exciting. Let me click on this real quick and see. Everybody take a peek. I got my audio off, so we'll see. Oh man. It looks like I need audio for that. Actually, what's funny is my wife and I were just joking. We got report cards. So if you're watching the video, it's a couple guys attempting to sing. I have 0, and when I mean 0, maybe actually negative is probably a better definition of my musical talent. I'm pretty sure every cell in my body is devoid of whatever gene is required to have reasonable skill or talent at music. I've got none of it. So watching that video is interesting because I can only imagine myself trying to do something like that. So first and foremost, we do have a couple things going on. So if you haven't subscribed with Twitch Prime, you can do that. You can type in !Prime, get some details. It gives you links how to connect your Amazon Prime to Twitch and connect it for free, and then you can subscribe for free. So that helps support the stream. Thank you for everyone who's already done that. Some of the folks that are on have already supported, and I appreciate it greatly. That's how we keep this thing going. Also, we have, hello, Agile Ideation. Good to have you back. Discord is up and running. So that is our Discord server. Discord is similar to Slack, but the one difference is it has a very tight integration with Twitch. So your subscriber benefits carry over into Discord. And as a Twitch subscriber, if you use Prime to subscribe, you get into subscriber-only chat rooms that we can continue the discussion when I'm unavailable to be in front of the camera. And last but not least, as you see in the comment below, Thursday's stream is going to be delayed by about 2 hours. I'm going to be helping one of your community members on Thursday. Very excited to go work with them. I'm going to spend some time at lunchtime here on the East Coast trying to highlight everything that they're doing because they really do seem to have things going in the right direction. So I want to make sure any chance I get to get out and spend time with any members of our community, I want to shine the spotlight on them. So I look forward to that on Thursday. I look forward to your questions as we're out visiting Kraz 457. And we'll chat some more on Thursday. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of Thursday's minor schedule change. Well, I tell you what, Agile Biker, you've changed your name. I know it's you, Eric. You can't fool me. You can't fool me in Discord. You can't fool me in Twitch. I know it's you. I know it's you. Latest and greatest. Let's see, latest and greatest. Things I know. Eric got a promotion. Congratulations to Mr. Eric. Well done. I do have a topic that I want to talk about, and Eric will be embarrassed, which is the best part of me saying that, because I just know I can see him getting embarrassed, even though he's not here. I can see his face, and that makes me happy. I do have a topic that I want to talk through. Just want to make sure There are no questions before I jump into that. So if you have anything, let me know. Otherwise, I want to jump into a relatively common question I've gotten over the past, probably 2 or 3 years. And that is the proper setup for a product team. What roles do you have? What do those roles focus on? Who reports to who? How do you grow? What's a career path? What are all those questions that companies, as they evolve and their software products become a larger and larger piece of their success, they realize the most important thing for us to do is to build a healthy, productive product function and team. Challenges, not a lot of people have been exposed to a highly functional, highly effective product team. So what I'd like to do is just walk people through my thoughts and ideas of what that looks like, and certainly interested on feedback that you guys have, what you agree with, what you disagree with. I know Eric is doing something slightly askew from the direction I've historically gone, and it's been one of those things where it's given me pause, but a good positive pause. It's been a head scratcher, like, that's interesting. I think I might be willing to try that. So let me take a drink, and then I'll dig into my view on product. Okay. So product. I view two key functions of product. There's the internal piece that is traditionally aligned with a product owner, where they're focused on supporting and directing the team. And when I use direct, what I'm really trying to do is say they are the ones that define the path that they are upon, the things they're going to go build. They are the communication avenue between the customer, whether the customer is internal, external, or both. That's where their focus is. That's a full-time job. I've been at companies where they try to have a product owner serve two teams or multiple teams. I've yet to see that work at all. I've seen it work okay with some highly functional, highly effective teams. I know Eric's doing some things that's pretty interesting, pushing some more of that responsibility onto the team itself. We can get him to cover that a little bit later. But I prefer to have one product owner per team, and you'd be amazed at how many people try not to do that. It's unfortunate because you just cut your agile process off the leg, because maintaining a healthy, strong backlog is, from my perspective, the single most important thing that will enable success, because you will undoubtedly get your team rocking and rolling. They're going to be crushing stores. They're going to be crushing bugs. If you don't have time to stay out in front of that and have that well groomed and well refined, you're going to put a cap on the success of your team. So product owners, I like to keep focused exclusively on the team. Yes, I want them out in the field. I want them understanding, but I find that it takes most of their time, probably more than their time and energy, to get that backlog in a good, healthy shape, get all the questions answered for the team, interact with stakeholders across the board to make sure we're going in the right direction. Then there's the product management role. What does that look like? What do they do? My view of product management is it is almost exclusively external. They spend all of their time talking to customers, talking to internal stakeholders, getting what I like to view as the market view and the customer view. So the market view is really what's happening out in the market. What's our competition doing? When we lose, how are we losing? Who are we losing to? What are the features that are out there that are market leading that we don't have? Or what features can we build that would put us in a leadership position in the market? So there's a ton of time going out, understanding, keeping up with that, because as quickly as you're building features, all of your competitors are doing the same. And they're trying to do faster than you. So you've got to stay up with them. You also need to understand the industry insanely well, so that you can begin to work with other stakeholders within the company to bring that innovative solution to market that maybe no one's thought of. So really understanding the problems that are there, spending time with customers, sitting down, watching them struggle, in their daily lives, trying to figure out bringing engineers in or product owners or architects or anybody in and letting them see and letting them get an idea of problems and working with them to collaborate on a potential innovative idea that could change the market and keep you or put you in a leadership position. So there's the voice of the market. That's outward facing. Voice of the customer is understanding your existing customers and how things are going with them, why your customers are leaving, if your customers are leaving, what are the things that they're leaving for. So similar to when we lose with sales, what does it look like when we lose with existing customers? Is it a pricing issue? Is it a functionality issue? Is it a support issue? Is it an implementation issue? It's all those things. That's where you start to think beyond just the software product. You think about how we as a company deliver the product to that customer and the holistic view of how are we taking this product and handing it over to our customer. Is it easy to transition? Is our training subpar? Is our long-term support not good enough? Is it too difficult? Is it gated? Who knows what the problems are? So that's the separation that I like to have. And I do not like to have product owners reporting to product managers. I've just had personal experience with that and it has not gone well. I like to have those concerns separated. What I would be uncomfortable with, what I am uncomfortable with, is when that product owner reports to that product manager. That lessens the likelihood of the product owner pushing back on the product manager. Having been a leader and seen the difference of when I'm in the room versus when I'm not in the room, whether I want it to be that way or not, that's human emotions. When your manager's in the room, behaviors change. As hard as I've worked in the past to get people to understand that I welcome their engagement, I welcome their enthusiasm, I welcome their challenges, I welcome everything they bring to the table, there's a pause there. So I find that separation of reporting structure is helpful. I've talked to other people that believe it can work and they have a different experience than I do. I would like to see that work. It'd be interesting, but from my point of view, I don't think that's the right answer. So that's how I separate, how I build out a product organization. So that's what I've got there for that. That's my volley into the discussion. Okay, so architect agile ideation, that's something that I've actually spent a lot of time on and wrestling with and challenging people in some of their traditional views. So the view I take, I lean very heavily on Spotify and their chapter model. That changes things, that democratizes architecture. So what does that architect then do? That chapter model, if you haven't done it, there's a ton of great writing about Spotify's model, from their tribes, squads, chapters, everything they do. It's so much more than that. But that's something that I'm very passionate about. Let me see something here real quick. Okay, sorry, getting things queued up. So architecture, the visual that I give to everybody, and actually helped a customer with this last week. How I view architects is I view them as they are on this giant ship. That giant ship is our product. Historically, it's been one person manning that giant ship. So they have to run around, they have to steer, they have to get the sails up and down, they have to get the anchor raised and lowered all the right times. They're trying to do all that all by themselves. The bigger the ship gets, the harder that is. Even if you add another architect or two, you're still spread too thin. My goal, my challenge to architects is I want them to guide the ship. I don't want them to steer the ship. So I tell them, you should be the person standing at the steering wheel. You're going to start out with a relatively tight grip on that steering wheel. I wonder if they call it a steering wheel on a boat. They probably don't call it a steering wheel. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the helm. I don't know what the appropriate term is. I keep saying steering wheel, and I know it's not the right thing. But anyways, they start with a relatively tight grip. Now, all they're doing is trying to steer. They are letting other people move the ship forward, man all the other stations. Ultimately, what I expect them to do is I expect them to loosen that grip and eventually just steer with one finger. And they just tap the wheel to the right or to the left. The team has it up and running themselves. But they are the ones with that experience. You think about a captain on a ship, they have that deep experience, that deep knowledge that their crew might not have. But without that crew, that captain's going to struggle to get the ship across the ocean. So they have to transform into a captain. Cool, great. How do you do that? When I implement chapters, I make sure people understand that everybody's engaged. I make sure people understand that we want architecture to come from the people that are closest to the problem. That doesn't mean we're just kicking them out to sea and say, go figure it out. There's still support staff. There's still the architects that are there guiding them along the way. And as those chapters evolve through the Shu, Ha, and Ri state, that's where that architect begins to loosen their grip, and it transforms from a tight grip to a reasonable grip to just a finger tapping the wheel back and forth. So I don't believe architects really ever go away. I think they, just like an agile coach, are heavy in working deeply with those chapters because they're a Shu team. Just like an agile coach pays more attention, spends more time, does more coaching with a Shu agile team, then over time they can begin to loosen the reins, adjust their focus. They still have to maintain focus. You still have to pay attention to those teams. You can't just walk away, but you can again begin to loosen and let them run the ship. So I have a whole session on chapters that I could potentially walk people through that might help out if we want to dig into chapters a little bit more on another stream. But anyways, I really recommend, there's a ton of great writing. Henrik Nieberg, I hope I got his name right because I'm historically bad with names. He's worked with them, Spotify. He's worked with Lego. He's done a lot of great writing. There's a lot of good bits of info that are out there. Some great videos, some great PDFs. I think the first PDF I read was from like 2012, potentially before that. So they've been doing that for a long time. So there's some good information there. Okay, so Eric, you did have POs reporting to PMs. Yeah, it's one of those things that idealistically, it should be okay. It should be okay for the POs to report to the PM. But the effort to make that happen, I've yet to see it work. And I've tried tremendously hard myself to get people that reported to me to not behave differently when I'm in the room versus when I'm not. I struggled with that for close to a year. And then Bob Galen smacked me upside the head and was like, you just need to get out of the room. Let them have their retrospective. Don't have your voice in there. Don't have your presence in there. Whether you like it or not, it makes a difference. Your title carries weight, and unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it. That's just human nature. Like it or not, I don't like it, but it's reality, right? I've learned that that's reality. Yeah, it does require a great deal of courage, and it requires a really great manager to enable that. And I'm passionate about that. I want people to challenge. I want them to bring new ideas. Whenever anybody does that and we're in a group setting, I shine a light on that person. I thank them for doing that. I let other people know this is appreciated. This is desired. This is how we become truly excellent. But there's probably a lot of painful battle scars from maybe they did that and it didn't go so well. So they're a bit gun shy. So you have to understand that everybody's path to getting there is different. It's not always exactly the way you want. You've got to be patient with it. And oftentimes the best thing is, as a leader, to remove yourself and enable the discussion to be as free and positive and safe as possible. Ooh, look at that. Reading this from Agile Ideation. So I've yet to be a part of an organization that had a need for business analysts. I historically find BAs as a legacy from whatever process they had before. And now it falls into that, okay, we had these people, now we have to try and plug them into a role in Agile or Scrum. I've yet to see a true need with any team I've ever worked with where the product owner couldn't get the job done. Now, that does require a good, healthy PM function, so that product manager is there allowing the product owner to focus on the team. I suppose if you're in some truly complex environment where you need somebody to be neck deep in algorithms or information analysis or anything like that, if it's not your typical CRUD screens of, okay, we get a list of things from a database, we show it on a screen, the user picks one, they do a thing to it, and they go do it again over and over again. If it's beyond that, then a BA might make sense. If there's some very deep technical expertise that is required, maybe in a lot of clinical settings or anything like that, that might be a requirement. But in the traditional software model, when there's not a tremendous amount of complexity, yes, software's hard. I don't want to minimize the complexity of building software, but the business, so many businesses out there are, we have a list of things, you need to edit them or you need to pick them and you need to do something with it. And you go do it over and over again. So that's I haven't been in super deep, super technical situations where that requirement was. I've talked to friends that are in a clinical setting where there's doctors or researchers or things like that that serve a bit of a BA function because they understand the underlying science that drives the product. But I've not been in roles where that's been needed. So I have not found the need for a BA. Oh, a Scrum team of BAs. That's a pretty cool idea, Derek. I like that idea. So it's almost a support staff for your POs. That's how I would think of it. So they are the initial backlog generation. So question, Derek, who were their customers? So how did they come up with those initial set of stories? I would be interested to hear, and Agile ideation, it looks like you've got the same thing going on. I would be interested to hear how those were created, what the source of those were, because that's an interesting approach. I do agree. Agile ideation, regarding your question, everything's a product to me. Whether you sell it, the fact that you are delivering a piece of software to somebody, whether they are required to give you money for it or they're required to use it because their boss says so, because it's internal, something you're building for the company itself, I still view everything the same. The business model behind it is different, but you still, all of the basics are there. You still want those feedback loops from your customers. It's actually easier when it's internal because you can just go sit down with them. You can ask them questions. They can be in meetings. They can be in those sprint demos, sprint reviews a lot more effectively than customers if you're selling something online, if you're a software as a service product or you're selling a physical piece of software or whatever it may be. I view it as the same thing. I've worked very hard to keep it like that because I found that if you can still have that commercial mindset of understanding that these are your customers and how important their feedback is, then I think you maintain a good relationship. So oftentimes that view of your internal customer as a customer and giving them the same reverence that we do paying customers is overlooked. And I think that's where some software teams get into trouble is they don't view them as their end customer. Same thing happens with DevOps, right? Truly successful DevOps teams have to understand that the software engineering team is their customers. And when they think about them as paying customers, when they view them as that, then their behaviors change. So I try and keep everybody operating the same way. See, Eric, aka Agile Biker, I just build them all the same. I don't build my teams out differently, whether it's external versus internal customers. I still require the same things. Okay, so those BAs, Derek, it sounds like they're serving the product manager role. Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. We are rocking and rolling here. Ooh. Not every team should look the same. Yeah, agile ideation. I think that's where teams don't bring that same rigor when it's an internal customer versus an external customer. So I try and get everybody to think and operate the same way, because I think those gaps happen less often when you always think about them as a paying customer. System performance team? Yes. So I understand that different teams will have different skill sets because what they're building is different. But I still have the teams operate the same way. I'm not going to put a Angular developer on a Windows Forms app team. So I get the underlying technology is different, and the underlying skills that they need to deliver the product is different, but I still build the teams the same way. I still have them operate the same way. My whole view is that we've proven that it works with these other teams. Let's just replicate that. You just need different skills to achieve the mission of that team's directive. So yes, performance team certainly needs data science of some sort to figure that out. I think under the covers, if you blur your vision, if you squint, right, and forget technology that those teams are doing, what I try and do is I have them all look the same. So I try and ignore C#, Java, data science, all those types of things. But do they all look the same? Do they operate the same? Forget the tools they have in their back pocket. Is it a wrench? Is it a hammer? Is it a screwdriver? They all run around fixing problems. That's where I focus my efforts. So knowing Eric, we're probably saying similar things just with different words. I'll just tell you that my words are better. Right? Cool. Yeah. Right here, we'll even see if Walter agrees. I bet Walter agrees. Yeah, Walter agrees. There he is. See? Walter agrees. I think I've got some more for you, Eric. Oh, I don't. You don't understand the words coming out of my mouth. What? Oh. Well, Eric, rumor is we're going to be doing a live stream from your office here in the not too distant future, so we can hash this out, get everything ironed out. All right, what other things are folks struggling with out there? How can we as a community help each other? Be happy to help. Oh, that's a challenge from Eric. He says, "Bring it." That's it. Bring it, folks. So let's see. While folks are thinking through things, if you are in a browser, upper right hand corner, there's a link to recommended books from everybody on the stream. Some of the books that I recommend to my team, some books have been recommended from other members of the team, direct links to Amazon if you're interested in checking some of those out. So you can do that. You can use the chat commands below, Discord, to join our Discord server. You can use Prime to get information about how to subscribe with Prime. You can also hit the subscribe button up above. And if you already have your Amazon Prime connected with Twitch, you can do it for free. And that's fantastic, and that helps out the stream. So I appreciate that. Oh, that's always the next question, Brave Dave. That's always the next question. What about UX? What about it? The best experience I've had has been when the user experience engineer, because I consider everybody an engineer, we're all building something. When that UX engineer is a member of the team. I've had luck with that UX person being a member of multiple teams. That took a very good, very experienced, very solid, very focused UX engineer to be able to maintain sanity while working with two different backlogs and trying to stay ahead of two different backlogs. If you have less experienced UX engineers, it might be a one-to-one. Because if your team really is churning out great code, then that UX designer is going to be pretty busy. Unfortunately, people seem unwilling to spend that type of money. Maybe that's why user experience for some products aren't as good as they should be. So I like them to be and operate as a member of the team, just like everything else, because that is a skill that is required to deliver a great product to your customer. If it's so important, if people care about it so much, why do people skimp on it? The most I've had a UX person successfully be a member of was 2 teams. So I had them be a member of 2 teams, and they worked their tail off, and it was hard, and there were some cracks in the dam every once in a while, but it did work. But that, he was one of the best UX people I've ever worked with. I don't know that I'd put that challenge on most other UX designers. Yeah. So I think Eric, aka the biker, I think that approach is the right answer. You have to, and this is one of those things that as an agile coach where you can, it's going to sound bad, but you can throw it in the leadership's face. Like, so you talk about how important user experience is and how we need to be better than our competitors. But why are you unwilling to invest in it? Why are you unwilling to pay for it? If it's so important, why do you skimp on it? That'll be interesting to hear their response when you ask that question. Scrum Masters. Oh man, you guys have it good. Yeah, if you can get the single UX designer per team, I feel like you're in really good shape. So congrats to Brave Dave and Agile Biker. That's the way to go. I'm going to put that all on your shoulders. Well done being fantastic Agile coaches. Gentlemen, well done. So for Derek's specific question, I 2 is about the limit that I've seen, but that requires a more experienced agile coach. So that's been that transformation in the organizations that I've led. A scrum master stays focused on one team. An agile coach starts to spread and help and affect more teams, more globally, more broadly. But that requires two things. One, it requires a more experienced agile coach. It also requires a more experienced team. So just putting an experienced agile coach on a shoe team, on a team that needs a lot of effort and energy, I would keep them focused on that team. Help them get to a ha or restate. Then they can start to focus elsewhere. But it's not magic. There's times where that team just needs that one coach to stick with them and really focus on them. And maybe that agile coach that's working with two teams has a highly effective team that they need to spend less time with, and they can spend some more time on that newer team, helping them grow and get up to where they can begin to spread out. Yeah, the word cloud has been something that's worked very well for me. Unfortunately, it's becoming a bit of a historical reference. I don't see a lot of websites using it anymore, so we have to use a lot of visualizations to get some of the younger members of the team to go, oh, that's what you're talking about. Because back in the day, like everybody had a tag word cloud, and that was the thing. And there were all these cool JavaScript snippets you could drop into your website that would visualize it in a ridiculously fancy way that made it impossible to read, but it looked cool. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that, of getting people to understand that we're all responsible for the same stuff. It's just an area of where we're asking people to focus. So the tag word cloud works really well. I'm glad to hear it's working for you. Yeah, Johan. I hope I've got the accents correct. I'm going to go with Johan, and if it's wrong, it won't be the first time I've messed up names. So I apologize ahead of that. Yeah, that resource management, or really what I go back to, is a leader. I don't know who that leader is. Their unwillingness to really invest in that. They want it to happen. It's very similar to when a team's going agile, but maybe they don't want to invest in scrum masters, or they don't want to invest in product owners. They're trying to skimp their way through. User experience is one of those things. Hey, I got it right. Yes, we're going to chalk that up. I'm going to give myself a Walter for that, because I actually got it right, because I've messed up some people's names before. So I'm glad I got yours right. Yeah. That's so the times that I mentioned, Johan, when UX resources were scarce, that was when user experience reported somewhere outside of my organization. So most of the time I've been responsible for all the software engineering, and user experience was managed by a product team. So one of my peers had product, and I was unable to get them to spend as effectively. And really what I got down to was getting the board and the executives to understand and buy in on how important user experience is. Again, that's one of those things at the board level, people talk about it. People say they want it, but just saying they want it is very different than putting their money where their mouth is and investing in it. So it's great for board members to say, we need to have the best user experience in the industry, for your CEO to say the same thing, your CTO to say the same thing. But saying it isn't the same as investing in it. It doesn't magically happen. It's just like culture. Culture doesn't magically happen. You have to invest. You have to be focused. You have to be intentional about it. You have to be focused and intentional about great UX. If you're not, if you're trying to skimp on it, then it's never going to be as good as you want. Now, that's easy for me to say because I'm in those board meetings, right? I can pound on that table and just be like, okay, fellas, you're saying it's important, but you're not actually investing. So it's clearly not that important to you. So is it important? If it's important, here's how you need to invest. And the best thing that you can do when you have that discussion is come with a plan. Say, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Leader, you aren't investing in UX like you tell us that you want. You tell us you want us to have this market leading, industry leading user experience. We're not investing appropriately, and here's why. Here's how we solve it. Here's the roles we need. Here's how we go and fill it. Here's how we plug them into our process. So if you walk in there with that statement of we need to invest more, you have to walk in with a plan of this is how we're going to invest more. I've thought about this. This is how we solve that problem. That makes the conversation go a lot more effective. If you just walk in and say, you guys are idiots and you're not investing in UX and just walk out the door, that's not going to get you anywhere. You have to invest in showing people how they need to invest. If you don't, then they don't believe that you really believe in it. They think you're just, if you're watching a sporting event and you're up in the upper deck and you're yelling at somebody that they don't know what they're doing, right? That just turns into noise. But if you get down on the sidelines and you engage and you learn and you listen and you understand and you provide an alternative plan, then it's not noise anymore. It's information that can be used to help transform the business. So, Johan, depending on the role you're in, I think there's some things that you can do to get people to understand that. And I'd be happy to help along the way. So maybe we can have some more discussion around that, just helping people understand the same thing, what investment really looks like, what a true leading user experience approach looks like. So we've got two people here. So Brave Dave and his team have a single UX per team. Agile Biker, aka Eric, has one UX per team. Last I checked, they're doing pretty good. Agile Biker, his team got acquired by Ford. So his company was bought by Ford. They're doing something pretty good there. So there's some points that we have here that should be able to help you. I encourage you to spend some more time talking, asking to folks that have gotten companies there, and we can help map you to get that done. Yeah, so Eric, aka Biker, I'm not going to be able to do that. Whenever I see Agile Biker, I'm just going to think Eric. So yes, you're doing the same thing. So they are working on multiple teams. They are working on their traditional Agile Scrum team, but they're also working with another team external as a part of the organization. So that's probably that 2-to-1 ratio again, but I bet you wouldn't have done that if you hadn't had your teams rocking and rolling. So because your teams are rocking and rolling, you're probably comfortable allowing your team to focus elsewhere. So that's going to be important. Yeah, Mr. Wilkins, good to have you back. Tell your uncle I said hello. I follow him on Instagram. Yeah, so Derek, the thing that was really trying to drive home is I'm sitting here in front of a camera telling you to go tell people that they need to invest. They need to put their money where their mouth is. Don't just run in there and do that. Don't run into your boss's office this afternoon and tell him or her you think they're doing a bad job. Bad approach. Wrong approach. Not going to work. What you need to do is invest, spend time understanding the problem. The best thing you can do is probably just start asking questions. Because my assumption is there's probably some piece of information that you may not have that would help you understand why there hasn't been an investment there. So that's the approach that I always try and take is what don't I know? What can I learn? What can I figure out that would help me piece together why this investment isn't there? Jesse Frito, thanks for following. Good to have you. Oh, okay. So wrestling with a clan, I gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, so I think what you'll find is that as a consultant, you have to chip away right? They're not going to, it's rare that they're going to flip a switch and say, okay, we have one UX person for every 4 teams. If you get them to 1 to 2, that's progress. And then they'll start to see life is better, and they'll continue to invest with your coaching. So that's something that I would just stay on them. And I would, as they invest and double their UX or whatever, however they're improving, I would definitely keep an eye on that and be able to show some proof that, hey, with an increased investment in UX, we're doing better. Things are getting better, and here's why. Here's some data. Here's some information. So let's invest more. Game development. That's cool. Everybody likes game development. Would I be willing to join a podcast? Are you kidding me? Absolutely. So if you may not know, that Metacast podcast up in the upper left-hand corner, Bob and Josh, I'm Josh of that podcast, 140-ish episodes, and I would be happy to join your podcast, Jesse Frito. I hope I got your name right. I got Johan's right, so hopefully I got yours right. Yeah, it's definitely not going to change within a week. And that's the one thing that Bob taught me. Bob taught me to be patient. When I first started working with Bob, it was my first major agile transformation, and I saw it clearly in my head of every change that needed to be made, and I knew what we needed to do. I knew the changes that people needed to make, but I was stubborn and I was unwilling to be patient. Bob saw it. Bob was getting me to calm down. He would just be like, Josh, you've got to just be more patient. It's happening. Look at the little wins. Find those little wins. So that's what I've learned in that decade since then. I've learned to identify and celebrate the little wins and see how on my burn down chart to success, we're chopping away. Like most burn downs, it's never as steep as I would like, but it works and we're getting there. We're progressing. Sometimes your burn down turns into a bit of a burn up. That's okay. Life happens. But how are you going to react? Are you going to get us to burn back down? Eric, what are you talking about? Actually, what's interesting is, you may not believe it, but I am an insane introvert. You ask my wife. She's not sure why she married me, because she's an extrovert like you wouldn't believe. And I'm the guy that over in a party is just like standing in a corner, just sitting there, perfectly happy, but just sitting there. But you never know, given the things that I do. Hey, Sarge, welcome. We got some new folks here. We got Jesse Frito and Johan. I think I got their names right. I know I got Johan's name right. Yeah, the link in the Discord is probably your best bet, Jesse. Just reach out on Discord there, and we can have a chat message there and go back and forth and get that ironed out. Yeah, I know. I will talk about it a lot. I get excited. I can remember Bob telling me he thought maybe our podcast would have like 6 or 7 episodes and we'd run out of things to talk about. Almost 10 years and 140 episodes later, I'm sure we'll get to 300 episodes. So I'm sorry about that, but that's kind of how I roll. Oh, here, Jesse. So that chat command will get you everything you need to join in there. So I have never worked with game development. And I've heard that about game development. That's one of those things that everybody wants to get into, but oftentimes it's a challenging environment, and it's super competitive, both from industry itself, but also from a jobs perspective, because there's always people lined up wanting that job. Yeah, I think that's interesting, Johan. Do you think there's a general need for game development to go more agile? And if so, what do you think's the driver that's preventing it from happening? Is it release dates that are published so far out? just it'd be interesting because here in Raleigh, Epic Games is right around the corner. I don't know how they roll or how they operate, whether they're Agile or Waterfall or not. So that's the only real company I know that's right around the corner that I would be able to talk to and understand how they operate. But it'd be interesting to see that if you think it's such a common gap, I wonder if there's a way that we can attack that. All right, cool, Jesse. Thank you. I'd be happy to chat. Look forward to chatting in there. It looks like we got a couple new people in Discord, so thanks for checking that out. Again, Discord, for those of you that don't know, it's very similar to Slack, but the key difference why I'm driving our community there is the integration between Twitch and Discord is fantastic because they're both gaming-centric. Twitch subscribers get special privileges in Discord, so I can provide subscriber only channels in Discord that's tied directly to your subscription in Twitch itself. And there's some other cool things. All the emotes are shared across and everything that goes there. So I chose to go there instead of Slack. But that's where we're going to try and build out our community. So I'm excited about that. I just got that stood up, as you can see from the description of the chat itself. We just got it ready. So I had a few beta testers in it over the past week, and we've got it ironed out. So it's working mostly. I think I've got everything set up, all the right bots and everything in place to make it useful and manageable. Oh no, Mr. Wilkins is there. Cool. Okay, interesting. So I'll take a peek. Let me open that up in a browser. There, Brave Dave, so I don't forget it. Yes, it's an interesting thing because I do, and again, I've never been in the game, so I don't know myself. That's a bad use of words. I've never been in the gaming industry itself, but I do have this perception that it is very waterfall focused, very waterfall driven. Agile ideation. I'm glad you got a response. I sent a text to Bob after our stream on Thursday, and I gave him a hard time. Let me see what I wrote here. I told him I was getting hammered by Chad about the third edition of his book, and he never responded. So I'm glad you were able to get a response. Some friend he is. Man, maybe I need to cut him out of the podcast episodes. The good thing is I got that mute button on this mixer, so I could just mute him and he'd never know. Maybe I'll try that. Yeah, Jesse, I'd be happy to chat. And the biggest thing I've found with podcasts, or anytime you're generating content, and this Twitch stream is very similar, is consistency is key. You have to just be consistent. That's why I've got a reminder down there at the bottom that we're going to be off schedule. So every Tuesday and Thursday it's 10 a.m. But this Thursday I'm going to be with a community member helping them out, and we're not going to be able to stream at our normal time. So I'm letting people know. So as long as you're letting people know you're generating content, your listenership, your viewership will grow. But it does take a certain amount of rigor if you want to grow. So we've grown to, from our podcast, just a couple hundred people listening. And I swear 100 of those listens were me or my mom or my wife. And now we're listened all across the globe, which is pretty cool. It's exciting to go in and see those stats and see people listening from all across the globe. So it's a good time, fun time. But you do have to stay regular. Otherwise, you're going to struggle to get the listeners. But the most important thing is that you enjoy doing it, because it can be a grind. You know, you got to put time in to get it scheduled and to do it and to edit it and to post it and to do all those things. So you have to really enjoy it. And if you really enjoy it, it'll just take care of itself. You know, in reality, Bob and I do our podcast, and it's really just an excuse for us to spend time together. If we didn't have the podcast, we wouldn't spend as much time together as we should or could, because we would insert busy things into our lives. But this gets us together, and we enjoy that. So February for the book. That's good to see. Okay. Oh man, CFO as well. You're wearing a couple hats there, Johan. Yeah, and that whole bigger company thing is interesting. I think a lot of a lot of companies, just because they're bigger, they feel like they have to plan longer, and I think that's a mistake. It is a cliffhanger. Uh, you know what, Eric? Can I use that quote on my website? Because that's exactly what we're trying to do. Oh, yeah, I know, Scrum Sarge. I wish I could do that. I wish there was a way to let you know that it's over your limit. Yeah, so I think the risks are the same. The risks are the same. I've been at companies where, hey, we're going to invest 5 million to build this piece of software, and we got to get it out, and we got to sell it, and it's got to sell at this rate, or else that investment's there. So I don't. Yes, it is at noon. Agile ideation. It is at noon. That's the tentative plan. I'm going to spend some time helping and coaching there throughout the day, but we have blocked off lunch when I'm out there to highlight him and his company on the stream, to ask some questions, get some understanding of things that they're doing, because I do think they're doing some really cool stuff. And again, like I said at the beginning, anytime I get to spend time with a member of this community, which is so important, um, I want to make sure people have an opportunity to see some of their peers and everything that's going on and that they're doing, because there is some really cool stuff going on out there. So again, the focus for me is community, community, community. So I want to share that with everybody. All right, Jesse, good talking to you. Thanks for coming in. Is in favor of safe. Yep. So safe is one of those delicate things. So yes, Scrum Sarge, Agile Biker is Eric. I think he's branding himself across all of the major platforms, so that now whenever we see, hear, or read Agile Biker, we know who it is. We know it's Eric, the Eric. Yeah. So Johan, I want to highlight what Scrum Sarge is saying there. I joined a company probably 3 or 4 years ago where it was decided that safe was the answer, and we were going with safe. And I held it at arm's length because I had heard negative things from it. I heard those same things that you're saying. I then was, against my will, forced to go to a safe class, and that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I got to see what safe was and what it wasn't. I was able to see past some of the things that people were complaining about, and I was able to cherry pick, pull out just the pieces that were appropriate for us. So there's some fantastic things I've pulled out of safe. I don't believe that safe, soup to nuts, taking everything that safe says you should do, is the right answer for many companies. But I do believe there are some fantastic parts of safe that can help your company be more effective. And I believe that about everything. I believe that about Scrum, XP, anything and everything. All of those frameworks, there's some nugget of good. Somebody started that for a reason. That doesn't mean it's a silver bullet. It's going to solve all of your problems. You have to go look at them and find the ones that are right for you. Yeah. No, Eric Hannon is no more. He is now Agile Biker. I wish I had an echo. Wait, hold on. I think I can do that. Let me do this. Here we go. Here we go. I can do it. Oh, wait, there it is. Agile Biker. Did that echo? I've got fancy tools now. Yeah, and so, Johan, I think the effort for you, and you're probably already there, is to get the company to understand that and to get them to understand that there is no silver bullet. Holy cow, the reverb did work. I figured it out. I feel like there should be some sort of press release that goes out about Eric Cannon transitioning to Agile Biker now. Does anybody know anybody in the press? We can get that on like CNN, MSNBC. Spine model, something new. Something new. All right, that's more reading for me, folks. I like it. This is like last time. Yeah, I am not a musician, Mr. Wilkins. So I was frantically pushing buttons, hoping the ones I pushed did the right thing. Luckily it did. Yeah, actually I've got another one. So I've done some writings. Let me think about that. I've written a few things on our safe implementation. I have to go and find it. It's been a while. But Bob always writes some good stuff. Yeah, here we go. 2 years ago. Man, I'm getting old. So that's an article I wrote a long time ago. Brave Dave, you are so correct. That's why that company that I joined had decided that they were going with safe, because that was the right answer. That was the single solution that was going to solve all their problems. That was the one ring to rule them all. And luckily I had an opportunity to adjust that course, and I was given the freedom to implement Agile in the way that I saw as the best fit for us and our company, our needs. And it worked very well, but it was a challenge when I walked in the door. Agile for Humans podcast, yes, an Agile Podcast Network podcast. So for those of you who don't know that, I started a podcast network of a group of co-minded podcasters centered on Agile, in the same manner, right? We end up having the same approach. We don't agree on everything. I can tell you the no estimates is a point of hot debate across us. But it's a good discussion. It's a good debate. So Ryan's a good dude. Ryan has a lot of good ideas. So Agile for Humans is definitely a good podcast. Definitely. Yeah, everything goes perfect. Unfortunately, that's seldom true. But with good, consistent, focused effort and energy, you'll get them there. You'll get them there. Just celebrate those little wins, my friend. The little wins. You got to find joy in that. Because I think last stream we talked about, someone had a question about how you handle with the pressure and the challenge to drive all of this change. It can be daunting. It can be challenging. So we talked through how people wrestle with that. I think that was one of the streams with Bob. So you go back, you can probably find that. Cool. Well, we are about wrapped up. Reminder here. Let's see. Let me just go through all the commands. So you can subscribe with Prime. You can follow if you've not followed. You can hit the little heart up above my head there in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. That helps out. We now have Discord. That's our private chat. And Thursday, we're delayed by about 2 hours, so most likely around noonish Eastern, we'll be rocking and rolling on site with Kraz, checking out what they're doing, seeing some of that. So I'm looking forward to that. Ooh, ITIL. I've had to wrestle with ITIL before. Yeah, so let's see. You can use that Discord link to continue conversations when we're not streaming. So I see some people have joined over there. That's exciting. I did get it right, 457. I've been saying Kraz 457 for like the past week or so, and I've been paranoid that it was like 475 or 754. So I'm happy I got it right. I probably should have just looked it up. That would have been the right thing to do. But I just kept guessing and hoping I got it right. But I did get it right. Oh, brain cramps are bad. Brain cramps are bad. Okay, folks. Well, I am going to shut it down for now. Got to go take care of some things. Again, you can continue the discussion on Discord. I'll be checking in there probably later this afternoon. Got to get through a couple things, then lunch. Then I'll be digging into that. So thank you again for building this fantastic community. Eric's quote from up above. Eric, I'm gonna use that. The right channels. I just saw this from Agile Ideation. Right channel's louder than the left. All right, I'll try and fix that. I'm having audio issues. Yeah. So what you'll see down below, you can see _ Discord _ not underscore. Jeez, I cannot talk. See, this is why after an hour I got to stop. ! Discord, ! Prime. Those are commands. Actually, I think we have a couple. You can just type help, and that will give you a list of commands. Oh, no. There we go. So those are all the commands that you can use, including the custom ones. There's a ton of functionality in there that we're not even close to using, but that ! Discord will get you that link. There you go. Rocking and rolling. Yeah, so that's a common pattern in Twitch for those of you that may be new to Twitch. That ! Word is how most chat bots are built. So there's a ton of commands that are in there. So that will help. Yeah, like there's some just general things like that out there. All right. So once again, thank you for making this community what it is. This would not exist without everyone here. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you helping it grow, because this is only a few months in, and I am ecstatic that we have 66 followers and maybe a dozen subscribers, and we keep getting new people in the chat every stream. That couldn't happen without you. So once again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you Thursday at noonish. Focus on the ish. So we'll see how that goes. Thanks a bunch. Take care, everyone.